Okay, I did the book A Rising Man by Abir Mukherjee. So let's get in the hook. So we step into the vibrant streets of a 1919 Calcutta where a troubled World War I veteran turned detective is in the thrust of web and political intrigue, cultural tension, and colonial power struggles in this gripping novel. So we begin the book where we have in India in 1919 after World War One, where we have the British Empire trying to colonize these different countries and all these continents like Africa and India. So these will obviously cause cultural problems, political problems, and colonial problems during this novel. So the introduction will obviously begin with Captain Sam Wyndham, who is the narrator and the main character in this book. He's a former detective who actually recently arrived in Calcutta in 1919 after serving in World War One. He's seeking for a fresh start. Captain Wyndham will be the main person on the case this entire time during this novel. He will see many different personal struggles during this book, but we will be seeing his point of view the entire book. During the beginning of the book, we see that we have a body of a British official, Major Aubrey Castellan, which was discovered in an infamous and a very dangerous area in Calcutta. She was actually found in a dark alley in the middle of the city. And it sparked a very high-profile murder investigation. This was not a good murder. This was a murder of a British official. So obviously, this wouldn't make the British very happy. So Wyndham is also introduced to Sergeant Bandry, his Indian colleague, who becomes his partner during the investigation. This is interesting because Captain Wyndham also has worked by himself in most of his cases before, so he's never really had a go-to second sidekick partner with him. So this will make the mystery much harder to solve or easier to solve for Captain Wyndham. So actually, during the middle of the book, or towards the beginning middle, Wyndham he will uncover a ton of complex issues involving political intrigue, racial tensions, and personal vendettas. So this will all involve these movements going on during Calcutta because of this British colonization. Many social and political movements are going around, so this is the first clue that we might think that this was done by a political or social activist to this British official. So we have our first clue. Towards the middle of the book, we actually find the investigation will force Wyndham to confront some very deep-seated racism and cultural classes that inherit this colonial power structure. This will also grow the nationalist movement in India. So he will face a lot of problems involving racism and these colonial power issues. So we are first, and now we are thinking it's most indefinitely a political activist that has killed this British official to prove a point that if they don't stop colonizing India, it will only get worse. And so as we get towards the middle end of the book, Wyndham and Bantry are raced to untangle a bunch of web of lies and deceit surrounding the murder. So they actually lead to begin that it was actually an impression act perpetrated by the British Empire. So they're believing now that it was another British officer that has killed this British officer to show that they're trying to frame the Indian movement, showing that the Indians are very corrupt and they need a first world country like the British Empire to come in and save their mass hysteria and balance out. And as they become one British colony, they can become much more economically and politically stable and socially stable. So this is the full 360 into thinking now that we think that the British Empire is the one who has done this murder. And towards the end of the book, we realize that when Wyndham has been dealing with these personal demons and this addiction, which this will also add a lot of complexity to the story. So during this whole time, Wyndham has had these personal struggles that he's had to deal with, leading to the resolution of this murder case. So you would think that his personal struggles would actually lead to his downfall and not ever be able to find out who did this case and who, what, and what happened. These downfalls, these addictions, and these personal demons, they lead to these decision-making that actually led to these series of dramatic revelations that will actually ultimately lead to the solve of this case. Of course, I'm not going to show you and who did the case, but these personal struggles that Wyndham, our main character, will deal with actually help him find out these murders. So a personal connection I would like to make is a TV show that I'm sure that all of you are watching this and me that have watched when we were younger. This show is called Lab Rats. I watched it when I was in middle school. It goes through these same type of mysteries every single episode and always involves some sort of lie. Just like we figured out we had many of these lies during this novel. So that's a part where we can relate to these mysteries. They're being solved by these lies and these complex issues. Another way to relate to this book is that the group is always looking to add someone else to their squad. Because if you can see in that cover right there, the three in the front were the original three, and the kid in the back is someone they added towards the end of the show. So it's just like Captain Wyndham adding Banjari to his case. Actually, instead of ruining the case, it actually made it much better, and Captain Wyndham's knowledge towards the case much better. So the group will always go through these personal issues with each other, just like Captain Wyndham going through his personal issues in his own life. So if it doesn't seem like it, but it relates to this book much more than you would think. And the academic response to this book is that this novel is very good at showing this rich portrayal of historical and social and cultural themes, as well as it contributed to the wider discourse of the honor, colonial, and post-colonial literature. And so this book has been recognized for its compelling storytelling. And this storytelling in this book is very complex, but very well done. It will go through these complexities of India and its colonial movement. And the book is not as long. It's like 300 to 400 pages. But it was not very hard to read, but the author did use some confusing vocabulary, but mainly stuff that will make it very easy and intriguing to read. There's words that if I didn't look up in a vocab book or even on the internet, I would not know what it means. But the rest of the book is pretty easy to read. If I had to put on a scale of 1 to 10 on how hard it was to read, it would be around a 6 or a 7. But it's very good because they have these major series of events that lead these gripping hook to I want to read the next page and the next page. So very good book to read, not very hard. And I would totally recommend it to anyone who's reading it, but these are the specific people I would recommend it to. So people who enjoy reading historical fiction, especially those who are interested in this period of British colonial rule in India. They will definitely appreciate the detailed historical setting and the novel that explores the social and political dynamics of that time. Complex readers are also recommended to read this book just because of the fact that this novel will feature so many complex stories, many multi-faced characters, including Captain Wyndham, who you would think would be the perfect human being, someone who never gives up. But on the inside, you don't realize he has all these personal struggles. He'll lead through these addictions. So it's just a very good book because it's so complex and the way it portrays its characters and its stories. And so overall, this novel has a very broad appeal and it can be recommended to a diverse range of readers who enjoy historical fiction and crime novels and nuance characters, and it has amazing storytelling. So I would totally recommend this book to anybody who is watching this and anyone who comments on this. It's just a great book.